Hi there. Welcome back to the Slow Flowers Show with Debra Prinzing, episode 519. This is the weekly show about slow flowers and the people who grow and design with them. It's all about making a conscious choice, and I invite you to join the conversation and the creative community as we discuss the vital topics of saving our domestic flower farms and supporting a floral industry that relies on a safe, seasonal and local supply of flowers and foliage. This show is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to more than 880 florists, shops, and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. In celebration of our Slow Flowers podcast's 8th anniversary, we launched our new live stream video format. We're calling it the Slow Flowers Show. So welcome. Our goal is to share the faces and voices of our members, as well as tours of their farms, their shops, and their studios. And most of all, their flowers. I'll share our sponsor thank yous at the end of today's episode, so let's jump right in and get started. Our first guest is Francoise Weeks, past guest of this podcast. Francoise teaches botanical couture around the world. One of her dreams has been to allow workshop participants to pick their own design ingredients at a flower farm and collect woodland materials in a forest. And thanks to the imagination of farmer florist Sid Anna Sherwood, owner of Annie's Flower Farm in Sequim, Washington on the Olympic Peninsula, that dream will be a reality later this month. Longtime Slow Flowers member Sid Anna Sherwood is a nature-inspired flower farmer and florist who creates beautiful and lush arrangements with the flowers she grows. Through Sweet Annie's Floral Design, she offers wedding florals, she sells DIY wedding flowers, and she supplies hand-tied market bouquets to CSA customers and local neighborhood grocery outlets. Sid Annie grows more than 300 varieties of cut flowers using organic and sustainable methods. Francoise Weeks, as you know, is a design icon. She was born in Belgium. She started her business in 1996. She has infused her work with a quintessential European reverence for flowers and nature. Combined with creativity and mechanical ingenuity, she has crystallized her singular style of textural woodlands and botanical haute couture pieces, garnering a global following. Francoise's studio is located in Portland, Oregon, and she comes to us today from her studio. Her innovation and love of teaching have brought her to many cities in the U.S., in studios, at wholesalers, garden clubs, art and bloom events, and conferences, including AIFD Symposium. Francoise has taught in Mexico, Canada, England, Sweden, Iceland, France, China, and Australia. And in 2019, she was invited to participate at 2 international flower events in Belgium, Flower Time at City Hall in Brussels and Floramore at the Medieval Castle in Aldenbiesen. Her dynamic work has been published in national and international publications such as Nacra, Fusion Flowers, Modern Wedding Flowers, Huffington Post, Flutter, and Milieu. Francoise teaches and offers online courses, including Zoom workshops, and she is the author of The Herbal Recipe Keeper, published by Timber Press in 2019. Francoise and Sid Annie have teamed up, and they're planning a workshop called the Francoise Weeks Botanical Couture and Woodland Workshop, a floral retreat taking place August 22nd through 26th in the historic town of Port Townsend, Washington. Students will stay at the 416-acre Fort Worden in a restored residence with meals and lodging, as well as all materials and instruction included in the workshop price. The beach of the Salish Sea is just steps away, and hiking trails are nearby. Francoise will cover botanical headpieces, purses and jewelry, as well as woodland design centerpieces, and a model and photographer will capture each student's work for their portfolio. Last week, Sid Annie, Francoise and I recorded a 3-way call to visit and talk with both of them about their work. Both have some lovely show and tell to share as they discuss their creative practices and inspire us with botanical couture and woodland designs, as well as just pick flowers. So let's jump right in and get started. And welcome to Francoise and Sid Annie. Hi, everybody. I'm Debra Prinzing, and I'm so happy to welcome you to our Slow Flowers show, which is the video version of the Slow Flowers podcast. And many of you have tuned in the last few weeks to watch kind of this new platform that we're trying to do to go live into visits with people's farms and studios. And today we're really fortunate because we're seeing a farm and a studio. And I want to introduce my guests. First, Francoise Weeks. Hi, Francoise.
Hi, Debra. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so happy to see you in your Portland studio.
Yes.
Gosh, it's weird to think about the last time I saw you because it was days before COVID was declared. So, yep. And Sid Anna Sherwood of Annie's Flower Farm Annie's Flower Farm and Sweet Annie Floral Design. Sorry, you've got multiple businesses. Sid Anna, it's so good to see you. We have not seen each other in person for years, and I love that you're coming to us from your beautiful farm in Sequim, Washington.
Thank you, Deborah. It's really good to see you too.
It's great to see you both. And we're going to see a little show and tell of flowers today. But first, let's get caught up on both of our guests. Francoise, you were an international global jet setter up until March of 2020. So bring us up to speed with your studio and your teaching and your design work. And, how have you filled your hours and days during the past 18 months?
So it's been a very interesting year and a half. The positive part of it is that I actually have had quite a bit of time to take online classes. I took many classes with Gregor Lersch and with Hitomi. And of course, I've had a lot of time to play around in the studio here and just try new things and new types of designs. I actually connected recently with a welder who has been welding stands for me so that I can kind of go in that direction with the Woodlands, just to try something different and new. So that's been really fun and interesting. And then last year, of course, I couldn't travel, but I did do some Zoom classes. But I'm super excited teaching in person again. And I'm extremely excited to be doing it at a farm. I've only done that once before, a couple of years ago, and it is so special to teach at a farm because we can go harvest in the field and we can go harvest in the woods, and it makes it even more special than when we buy things from wholesalers.
Sure. Oh, sure. Absolutely. Who would argue with that, right? Well, let's hear from Sid Anna and just put yourself on the map and give us a snapshot of Annie's Flower Farm, just for people who maybe haven't discovered you as the secret little gem in Sequim.
I think I've been around for 8 years now, or maybe 9 years. I thought it was 10, but it's really like 2012. So however long that is. And,
that makes sense. It's almost 10 years.
I'm still small. I've started out small. My goal was to not grow what I couldn't sell and just sell every flower that I grew. And so I do kind of a mixture of, I do a lot of weddings normally. And I do grocery store bouquets in Kitsap County to town and country markets. And, around Clallam County and Jefferson County too. That's kind of what kept me going during COVID. Was luckily I had that business. So I only had a few little elopements, and weddings are starting to come back. So that's really nice. I just booked 2 weddings for next June. So I'm really happy about that.
So Sid Anna, what is your acreage? Do you live where you grow, and about how big is your growing area?
Well, this is home, and I can grow everywhere where my partner Ron doesn't mow. And so I've got gardens everywhere in the perimeter, and you can kind of see a shade garden behind us. Then my main growing area is over on Kitchen Dick, and I have a good friend who has almost 3,000 square foot greenhouse that she lets me use, and she's got some really good plots of ground that she lets me use. But I've never been more than an acre. I've been the biggest, maybe 3/4 of an acre.
Yeah,
because I just try to grow more intensively, and I'm not a field grower, really. I'm not really set up to sell to wholesalers that much, unless it was a bucket here or there.
Yeah, it's like a real artisan approach to growing a little bit of a lot of things.
Yeah, a little bit of a lot of things. I have probably over 300 different varieties now. And I just love adding new things like different grasses and things so that I can make the bouquets really interesting. Seed pods. So that fits really well into what Francoise uses in her work. My partner has this beautiful forest with, wonderful maple trees and lots of moss and cedars and hemlocks and fir trees and lots of ferns. So
I'm
collecting.
Everything you mentioned, I know Francoise is like her heart is going pitter patter. So Francoise, how did you and Sid Anna connect? How did you guys meet?
I think that Sid contacted me. It must have been 2 years ago, because we were going to do a workshop last summer. And of course, that fell by the wayside. And then stayed in touch, and we decided to give it a try to do it this year. And we're very excited that quite a few people have signed up, and it's a go, and we're thrilled about it.
Great. Well, I'll be sure to share all the details, but I happen to have the marketing material that Sid Anna sent me. So it's the Francoise Weeks Botanical Couture and Woodland Workshop, August 22nd through 26th in Port Townsend. And I loved the statement that I think Sid Anna sent me from your comment, Francoise, which is that one of your dreams has been to allow your workshop students to pick their own flowers at a flower farm and then collect woodland materials in a forest. So this sounds like a perfect fit for you.
Yes, absolutely. It's very, very exciting. The wealth of choices, like she just said, that she goes 300 different varieties of flowers. Of course, we're not going to use 300 varieties, but it's always such a treasure to be able to have a wonderful selection to pick locally grown.
Well, talk about, Francoise, how do you normally source? Like, I know you have your own garden. So for some of your smaller projects, are you just cutting in your Portland backyard, or are you relying on a lot of flower farmers?
I rely, I have a small garden, so it's kind of my garden. I don't mind picking from it, for small projects, but I remember when I used to do weddings, brides would come here and they would say, "Do you grow the wedding flowers?" And I would go, "Oh, no." Yeah. So I go to the flower market, and we're super, super lucky here in Portland. We have so many local growers who have greenhouses, who are there, like Peter Cortroses, they're there year round. And then the bulb grower, he's there like from Grant Hubrick, he's there from November until Mother's Day. But so we have an incredible selection of flowers, which I always have favored. But during the off season, we definitely have to rely on the flowers from the wholesalers also.
So you said that you made something to share with us, and these pieces kind of reflect some of what you'll be teaching with when you are up in Squim, right?
Right. So this here is a woodland design that I made on a wooden disc, and then I secured this very gnarly piece of wood on there. And then I basically glued all the elements on there because none of them require a water source. So there's cones, there's dried mushrooms, there's lichens, there's seed pods, there's acorns, like succulents and sedums. So you actually can make woodlands without needing a water source if you're not going to use flowers, or if you're not going to use delicate greens. Like, do choose to use those. I either use water tubes or I use agra wool. And agra wool, 100% biodegradable type of foam. If you want, that is what originated in the Netherlands, and that actually can be bought here in the US. I really have altered the way I do woodlands to mostly not need to use any of the foam at all. And when I use water tubes, I really like to hide them. So I'll cover them with moss or with paper thin bark so that they become part of the design instead of having this glass, shine right in the center there. And then the other one I had to make a little bit of botanical couture also is this earring that I made to use snippets of everything and quite a variety of textures and a few flowers here and there. And if you, 3 years ago, when I was at a workshop, I learned from Gregor Lersch the secret of the hydration chamber, which is basically, here's one, Tupperware box, and you have layers of wet paper, moist paper towels, and you can put your flower here. So these little pansies have been in there since last Wednesday.
No way.
Today's Tuesday, right?
Cut off the plant.
Cut off the plant. A friend of mine gave them. They were so beautiful, and I wanted to use them in, in some botanical couture. So I just, and all of them look still super fresh. So making these jewelry like this or in those hydration boxes.
Wow. That is so charming. About how big is that circle hoop earring? Is it a couple inches in diameter?
It's pretty big. It's got 2.5 inches. You can make them. You can make them however big you want. I just take a piece of wire and I bend it smaller or larger. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You just make it, you make it sound like I just do this, but I know that this is your art and years of just perfecting your techniques. That is what you're going to share now with the students. Right. And then Sid Anna, I'll let you come up and be on speaker view so we can see all the goodies that you've been growing and tell us what you've got that might be included in the workshop.
Okay. Well, some of the things I've seen Francoise like make headpieces. She's used some of these scabiosa, like a long row of them. I like growing things like orac, which I don't know if it's useful or not, but it's just a really nice texture. Then I have lots of seed pods. Those are Nigella seed pods.
What do you think, Francoise?
Love them. All of them.
And then, I have tons of seed pods.
Oh, the Nigella and the little Cresspedia too.
Yep, I have Cresspedia, and I love this Dara. Mm-hmm. It's like a kind of a Queen Anne's lace that comes on later, and it's burgundy colored.
I love their seed pods too.
I have a lot of beautiful flowers. I think people will want to make arrangements for their rooms and just play with some flowers. Not all the flowers will be appropriate for, what do you call it, Francoise?
The botanical couture. We know one of the things that I do a lot is to just deconstruct the flowers. So instead of using the whole flower, to just use parts.
Deconstruction. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah. Deconstructing the flowers. Like I saw a beautiful mask that you made with hydrangea leaves all glued flat. And then this is something, I can't remember the name right now, but it's this really pretty blue and it makes a very interesting seed pod. A lot of, over at my growing space on Kitchen Deck, I'm growing a lot of straw flowers. And this is another kind of Nigella or Scabiosa pod that I'm growing.
Wow. And
of course, we might be able to use some status. And this is, and I have a lot of Eryngium too. I didn't blue Eryngium. I didn't cut that. And this is, what is this?
Oh, Echinops.
Yeah.
Echinops. Yeah.
It's so interesting. The things that you're showing us, Sid Anna, are things that, back to Francoise's point about the water source, a lot of those would be fine out of water. And then if you have them in the hydration chamber until they're worn, it's probably guaranteeing many more days of their use.
I also grow a lot of upright amaranth.
Oh, fabulous. Oh,
Yeah, those
very
are wonderful.
cool. That's excellent. So, okay, we know there's no shortage of botanical ingredients. These are all your art supplies. Let's talk a little bit about how the workshop is structured. So, Sid Anna, you've done smaller workshops on the farm, or is this like your first foray into doing something that you're inviting people to come for a class?
First foray.
Well, you went big. You picked the queen diva of botanical couture.
It was an idea that just kind of came into my head, and I contacted her in 2019, I believe. And she said, "Oh, that's a really good idea." So, I mean, I've done events and things like that, not in floristry, but in other, like at colleges and things like that. But I'm excited about it. I like putting things together, and I'm really excited about the house we're going to stay in, Fort Worden. It's a giant old, I don't know if I would call it a mansion, but it's built for a commander. So it's like the very nicest home at Fort Worden, which is a very interesting place. And it's right next to the Puget Sound, which they call the Salish Sea right there. And Port Townsend is a wonderful little town with all kinds of cute little shops and great little restaurants. And it's very small and Victorian buildings that are like 4 stories tall.
It's wonderful. You've got a lot of these photos too that people probably can find when they sign up, or they can contact you to have the whole brochure sent to them. It's just amazing. So workshop scheduled, and Francoise, jump in. And I'm sorry, if you want to put your camera back on, we can try and hope that we can see you. Day 1, on this day, you'll come to Annie's Flower Farm and swim for coffee and breakfast. And then you'll go gather flowers. That's sort of a good way to kick off the session. And then you'll go to the 40-acre forest on Hood Canal to collect moss, ferns, bark, and other woodland materials. So really day 1 is just kind of collecting design ingredients.
Yeah, I'm super excited about seeing the farm and to go amble in the forest there and see all the goodies from the forest.
Yeah. And then you're going to teach, and then Francoise, you're going to teach for multiple different sessions. How is that going to be structured for the students?
So every day in the morning and in the afternoon, I demo for about an hour, and I show a whole bunch of mechanics, and so that people can kind of pick and choose, and I show a bunch of ideas to make samples ahead of time so that they do mechanics. It's a little bit cooking show style, these are the ingredients you need, and then this is the first step. And if you have succulents, you do this and this and this to secure them, all that kind of stuff. And then I just give a lot of ideas and explain mechanics. And then for a couple of hours, the students get to design their own piece. And I always let students pick and choose the materials that speak to them. And so they come around and they choose a piece of bark or whatever that they want, and then all the different flowers and textures, and then they start designing. And then in the afternoon, it's a different subject. And so the 3 days, in the morning and in the afternoon, it will be different subjects, and then they'll make really cool things.
So, well, it looks like I
think we're doing woodland on the first woodland on the first day, and then we're doing purses and headpieces.
Yeah.
And the third day is all jewelry.
Oh my gosh. That's
necklaces,
wonderful.
bracelets, earrings.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like the way that your following has built internationally, Francoise. You have students who are professional florists and professional designers and farmer florists who really want to kind of push their art and craft, people like Sid Anna. But then you also have people who are in other medium, like other art medium, including sculpture and jewelry. And, that kind of may you make it equally accessible and exciting for them.
Right.
You have a lot of, you touch a lot of aspects of people's interest in creativity.
Also, no intention of ever starting a business, but they just love flowers and they want to expand their knowledge. And to me, if mechanics are explained step by step, everybody can do it. It's not complicated. It's just, knowing how to do certain things, and then use your imagination and picking all the beautiful materials, and you simply can't go wrong. That's what I always say. You just can't go wrong.
That's such great advice.
It's super fun.
Wow. And so this is kind of a floral retreat because of the destination that Sid Anna just described, the Fort Worden. I've stayed there once before years ago, and I think you can just rent these officers' quarters from the old base
from the park. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know there was one big fancy house that's what you lined up. And so how many people can you accommodate?
Well, it has 6 bedrooms. And so far we have one day student, and we have a couple of people that have wanted a room by themselves. So they upgraded to have a room by themselves. And then, it's, I think it was built during the Civil War.
Wow.
So it has some antiques, and it has really nice porches and one very large enclosed porch all along the side of the house. And I actually got to go in there, and they were painting it and fixing it up in the winter, and it had a big, cover all around it. I did a wedding there a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
I bet it was beautiful.
And the people that were doing the wedding, they just let me wander all over and open all the cupboards in the kitchen and see what all was there, so I could know what was there, because they're just so busy.
Yeah.
Those poor people at Fort Worden, I don't know how they do it. They have so many things going on there all the time.
Well, yes. And when you planned this, you were probably competing with a wedding party that wanted to rent the venue. So you got a good weekend for the end of the summer.
I did it. And the fact that it was available for 4 days was really nice. And so, I just put the deposit down, and if I lost it, I lost it. But I'm just really happy. I mean, Francoise has such a following all over, and these people are, like you say, they're artists, and even one was an actor, but she got a part, so she couldn't come. Just people that want to be creative, florists.
Right. I think you're combining two things that where our hearts are yearning for right now. One is to be out in nature and to go to your flower farm and to go forage in the woods, and you're foraging with permission. So nobody's gonna,
Yeah, you can get whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. That sounds just like being a kid in a candy store. And then I think the other part is just the creative, kind of stretching yourself creatively, learning the mechanics, like Francoise said, but also having this, like I've watched you teach many times, Francoise. There's no recipe. You don't want people to do exactly what you've done, right? You want them to pick the botanical elements that catch their eye.
Oh, it's always interesting to watch, because some people go and pick a whole bunch of stuff. Other people, they'll go and pick maybe 3 things and they get going, and then they'll go peruse a little more and they'll pick another few things. It's very fun to watch how everybody does it. And then of course I walk around and I answer questions and I help people when they need some help. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, sounds like it's going to be a lot of one-on-one time for the students to hear,
right.
And also they'll be probably asking you to critique their individual designs, and you'll make suggestions, but you're such an affirming instructor that people will have a positive experience, and no fear of there's no, like you said, you can't do this wrong. It's so subjective to the maker.
There are 2 people coming to the course, Francoise, that have signed up or taken your online class, one of your online classes.
Oh, that's cool. And then I think that you also got a photographer for the last day, correct?
Yes, I have a photographer and a model.
Oh, yeah. for so people can get their botanical couture elements photographed.
We might even have 2 models, one being a young man.
That'd be kind of cool.
For the cool male headpieces that might be made.
Oh, I know. Francoise has done some really cool male groom accessories. So that's awesome. And then I'm sure people will have questions about growing from you, Sid Anna, just because you can't help yourself asking, what is this? And I'm from a different part of the country. I want to learn how to grow it too, right?
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm happy to share all my knowledge or whatever I've picked up.
And you're going to be, you're also going to be designing. You'll be a student as well.
Yeah, I'll be a student.
Well, I love that you're doing this. And I think the lesson that I'm taking from this for anyone listening is, to consider what Sid Anna has done, which is approach someone who's, like Francoise, who's got such a reputation and such a beloved following. And, don't think like you could have easily said, oh, she's too busy or too, unaccessible. And clearly that wasn't the case. So you took a leap.
I'm happy to teach anywhere.
Maybe when you're done with the photography, if you'd be willing to, we could post it in Slow Flowers Journal, to share. So people,
that'd be wonderful.
People could see their work published. If you have an outlet that's, a bigger deal, go for it first. But we'll be there for you whenever you're willing to share. Yeah, and I think Francoise, this type of workshop, maybe this will take off to partner more with farms that want to be kind of your direct source, because you've taught in a lot of at a lot of classroom environments that aren't connected to where flowers grow. I guess wholesalers host you a lot.
Wholesale. I've done, and the last 2 or 3 years, I've done quite a few presentations at garden clubs also, and at museums for Art in Bloom.
Yes.
Where I do presentations and I teach classes. And 2 years ago was the first time that I actually taught at a farm, and it was in Maine. It was Moonset Farm, Jackie Gardner. I don't know if you know her.
I do know of her, yeah.
I hope that I'll have many more opportunities where I can teach at flower farms.
Wonderful. Well, this is coming up really soon. So how can people get in touch and sign up, Sid Anna, if they want to get more details?
I've just been asking people to email me at Sid@Annie's Flower Farm. Sorry, I was giving you the wrong email address.
That's okay. I'll post it.
People have just been emailing me. There's no registration form or anything. They email me and then we just work out the registration however they want to do it.
Okay. And you have a few more openings still.
We had another registrant last night. So we still have 2 openings that can stay in the house.
Okay. But like you said, maybe day students who live nearby.
Yeah. Maybe we could take on another day student.
Great.
But, it'll be small. It'll definitely be, 10 people or less.
It's such a benefit for everybody to be in a small group like that, because you will really be able to collaborate and see and learn from each other as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then just because we're all staying there, we'll be able to work on our things in the evenings, and we won't have to just leave them. They'll be there.
And you'll be able to share meals together and get to know each other really well. Oh, it sounds wonderful. Well, before we wrap up, I want to hear you both tell me what is on your mind for the future. What are you excited about? New flowers you want to grow, new designs you want to do. What are you seeing on the horizon for our beleaguered industry that has had so many challenges in the last 18 months?
It seems like people really wanted flowers during COVID, just to cheer up their houses. And one thing I did was there's a nursing home in Port Townsend that had 42 patients, and they in their rooms, they couldn't leave. They couldn't have visitors. So I had extra flowers because I didn't have any weddings. So I started taking 42 little arrangements every week to this nursing home in Port Townsend. And it just made me feel really good. It was very heartwarming and they enjoyed it so much.
Oh,
so I don't know. I hope we're all kinder, and I don't know what's happening, with imported flowers or anything like that. But, I feel like we kind of made it through, and things will be a little quieter for us now, hopefully. Not so hectic.
Yeah, faster and bigger isn't always better. I totally agree with you. And I feel like a workshop that takes its time over 4 days with a small group is like the ultimate slow flowers experience, where it's not this, like I know Francoise, she doesn't teach in a rushed way. She's a thoughtful, kind of, I don't know, you kind of get in a Zen mode when you're teaching, Francoise, where you're just quietly at one with whatever's in your hand. And it's really beautiful to watch.
I always think it's very interesting how quiet the classroom always gets. People just get totally in their zone. Actually, when I design, I always call it my Zen zone. Yeah, it's kind of meditative as far as I'm concerned.
I couldn't agree with you more. You mentioned you're doing this collaboration with a welder who's making these stands for you. Or is that something that you will ultimately incorporate in some workshops, or are you still kind of experimenting with what you want?
Yeah, I'm still experimenting with what I want, and it's just it's been very fun to do it. Well, I don't know if it would be practical to actually teach it, because I don't know. I would need a source where somebody he would be doing, because this is his hobby. It's not his job.
Yeah,
but it's definitely it's one. We're going to record another online workshop in October, and that is definitely something I want to incorporate for that. So, and also the other one would be an online workshop for woodlands, where it's with whatsoever, maybe a little bit of agrofoam, but so it will be a very different style of woodlands than the one that I made, that I did a few years ago. So it's exciting.
That's great. Yeah, you're right. Because if someone's already learned, at one way to do the woodland, they're going to want to know the next techniques you're ready to teach. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations on that. And I will try to get both of your websites and social places in our show notes so people can learn more. And I'm excited to see what comes out of this workshop. It's going to be beautiful. And I thank you both so much for joining me and this new platform I'm trying to experiment with. So your patience was very, very kind as well. And I wish you a lot of luck. I hope I know it will be a beautiful weekend. The setting is amazing. The inspiration of nature can't help but inspire your students. And congratulations to you both.
Thank you, Debra, so much for having us on, Debra. We so appreciate that.
Okay. Thank you both. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
That was great. I'm so glad you joined our conversation. As Sid Anna mentioned, there are a few more spaces for students needing lodging and also day students who might want to attend from close by. I'm really excited to see what happens when a flower farmer and a floral designer collaborate. That approach is truly at the heart of the Slow Flowers movement. And Sid Anna and Francoise are modeling a creative partnership that each of us should emulate. Okay, I want to share a few sponsor thank yous before we wrap up. Thank you to our lead sponsor for 2021, Farm Girl Flowers. Farm Girl Flowers delivers iconic burlap wrap bouquets and lush, abundant arrangements to customers across the U.S., supporting more than 20 U.S. flower farms by purchasing more than $9 million of U.S.-grown fresh and seasonal flowers and foliage annually. You can discover more at farmgirlflowers.com. Thanks also goes to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high-quality flower bulbs and perennials. Their online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at Longfield Gardens. That's longfield-gardens.com. And thanks to Rooted Farmers. Rooted Farmers works exclusively with local growers to put the highest quality specialty cut flowers into floral consumers' hands. When you partner with Rooted Farmers, you're investing in your community, and you can expect a commitment to excellence in return. Learn more at rootedfarmers.com. And our final thanks goes to Johnny's Selected Seeds, an employee-owned company that provides our industry with the best flower, herb, and vegetable seeds, supplied to farms large and small, and even to backyard cutting gardens like mine. Find the full catalog of flower seeds and bulbs at johnnysseeds.com. Thanks so much for joining us today as our movement gains more supporters and more passionate participants who believe in the importance of our domestic cut flower industry. The momentum is contagious. I know you feel it too. I value your support, and I invite you to show your thanks to support Slow Flower's ongoing advocacy, education, and outreach activities. You can find a donate button in the column to the right at DebraPrinzing.com. I'm Debra Prinzing, host and producer of the Slow Flowers Show. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more slow flowers on the table, one stem, one vase at a time. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. The Slow Flowers podcast is engineered and edited by Andrew Brenlin. Thank you so much to Andrew for helping me set up our new video podcast platform and teaching me the technology. I'll be relying more on his talents in the coming days. You can learn more about Andrew's work at soundbodymovement.com. Take care, and I'll see you next week.